No, we didn't record this on Sunday. That would be ludicrous. I'm your host, as always, Chad Porto, and joining me, as always, is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus, we are back for another edition of the Top 10 here on the youtube.com/WrestlingUnderground channel.
Yes,
You can follow us at realnerdcorp.com or on Twitter at NERDCORP or on the Instagram at realnerdcorp. Marcus was the Lucha Underground Top 10, which, by the way, this is the top 10 stars that came out of Lucha Underground who didn't have a lot of notoriety or name value prior to the show in the United States. So you're not going to see your Johnny Mundos, your Rey Mysterios. You're going to be seeing more Latin talent, more unknown talent. Was this a hard list for you to come up with other than stealing my picks of Rey Fenix and Pentagon? Spoiler alert.
Other than solely living for the sole purpose of spiting you every day of my existence. we do have a narrative here at Wrestling Underground. No, because I had, and this is one of those things where you pay attention to word and like, oh, Chad can't get the championship, fight for the championship again as long as I'm champion. I caught you with a loophole. When this thing was like top 5 stars to come out of Lucha Underground, it kind of got relatively easy because most of the names I wanted to pick didn't get out of Lucha Underground.
They're still there. Wrestling.
Exactly.
All right, well, since we had to flip up the order, I'm going first. Number 10, although these are in no particular order. My first pick is Matt Cross, M-Dog20, Son of Havoc. He's a guy who I've known for years. In fact, he became kind of infamous back in the tape trading days. Holy hell. Good thing we don't do reshoots. He jumped off the balcony in my high school auditorium, and it became a big early internet highlight reel back when wrestling was still very much done via DVD and tape sales. So long time history, Cleveland native. Of course he's going to be on my list. Hell of a hand, still wrestling overseas a lot of the time, although I'm pretty sure he's taking an extended break right now due to the pandemic. But he's very popular in Europe, so I got to give it to Matt Cross, M-Dog20, Son of Havoc. Plus, he also wrestled on the Hulk Hogan Australian tour. Fun fact. Marcus, who's your first pick?
First pick-a-roni for me is going to go to Taya. Yeah, I mean, she's was absolutely stunning. Still is. Probably even healthier now than she was here, but she's another one like Camille and Thunder Rosa, man. There's a lot of girls that look really good, but they don't necessarily like looking good and having a presence. To me, is two different things.
Tori Wilson.
Damn, that's a great example. That is such a great example. We love you, Tori, really do. A literal definition of all-American pie type of thing, but that's exactly what that is. And Taya, man, she just had that. I remember just calling back to those segments in my mind now in Dario Cueto's office, where they basically had her doing a version of the basic instinct shots in a way, and yeah, it's just. Just besides that, she was just a presence, obviously, with Johnny Mundo and such, and yeah, and then she eventually evolved into getting into the ring, and then obviously we see where she's at now. She's great. So Taya, to me, was one of those names where she might have been under the radar, but when she got on screen, you definitely knew she was there.
Yeah, she was a pretty big deal in Mexico, but a lot of us in the United States didn't know about her until she hit Lucha Underground, and that was one of the great things about the show was it brought a lot of Hispanic talent that a lot of us may not be aware of to the forefront. And a little caveat, there's a lot of names that were on here that were pretty big in Mexico, not so much on the list, but on the show, like your Dr. Wagner's and your Blue Demons. They're not on this list because I expect y'all to know who they are. Y'all need to do some homework. That's all I'm going to say. My next one up is, it was actually kind of a hard one for me. Because on one hand, I really enjoyed Sexy Star's run on the promotion, and we were picking names that did really well in the promotion and brought a namesake to the North American audience from the show, and Sexy Star did that. But Sexy Star also did a lot of the big dumb things, like nearly breaking Rosemary's shoulder, so I decided to leave her off, even though I was a fan of hers prior to the Rosemary incident. So I instead went with Ivelisse Velez. She's kind of she's got her own issues. she certainly does like to cause controversies wherever she goes. That's British for controversies. They also say aluminium instead of aluminum. What a bunch of dorks. So I'm going with Ivelisse. She fought with the men. She defeated the men. I think she even won a few battle royals. Went face to face with Pentagon and Mil Muertes at different points in time. But her real big claim to fame was being I think they were the first trios champion with Son of Havoc and another member of my 5 from this list, who we'll get to later. So I'm going with Ivelisse Velez. Marcus, who you got at the next selection?
Next, I'm going with a certified shooter, not not in the sick sadistic sense, but the man's name is in Lucha Underground was Killshot, aka Shane Strickland, as we know him now in NXT. Yeah, man, Killshot was an absolute another presence on the show, man. Obviously, he had a mask and an evolving backstory over across 4 seasons about his background and just what made the guy tick. And he's part of some phenomenal moments across those 4 seasons. One of probably the sickest matches that they had, and really just went 100% for the brand while he was there, and probably could have killed himself specifically in one of those matches. So definitely was somebody I always wanted to watch whenever they was on the show. And even though he was under the mask, man, he really put himself, I think, on the map. And now he's showing out and hopefully get the time to shine that he needs in Lucha Underground. But yeah, Shane Strickland killed it as Killshot in Lucha.
Who did he feud with? Rich A.R. Fox.
A.R. Fox, yeah.
And that was the whole, they were military buddies together or something like that. And Killshot got shot by like a spider bullet that turned him into a mysterious henchman.
Yeah, or something happened and he left AR for dead and he came back to the form or something. Yeah.
It's all of the big silly, and that's why we loved it. Next up, I'm going with the man who's half dragon, half ninja. I'm going with Drago. Honest to God, nice. There isn't anyone in all of Lucha Libre today or ever who's ever had a better costume than Drago. That dude probably spent most of the money he made in his wrestling career on gear alone. And I'm telling you what, not The Undertaker, not Rey Mysterio, not the New Day combined. No one, Marcus, brings it as good as Drago does when it comes to their attire. And he also has the extended dragon tongue that he puts on. It just adds so much to the aesthetic. He was so cool, and his tag team with Aerostar was a lot of fun. Fuck yeah, Drago rules. I'm so glad Impact got to use him a few times after Lucha fell apart.
Yeah, man. Like, what was the trios team? Him, Aerostar, and who else? It wasn't Phoenix. It was somebody.
It was Aerostar, Drago, and was it the Puma dude? King Puma, Prince Puma. Part of me thinks it was Phoenix, but I don't know. I don't remember. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was Phoenix. It was Phoenix.
I think they won the trios title at one point too.
Yeah, it was Phoenix. But yeah, man. I mean, the commitments and both financially and emotionally, I would imagine, to that gimmick is. I mean, don't get talked about enough. I mean, it was. I mean, you pluck him out of Lucha and you put him in that first Mortal Kombat, you can make him the big bad. Honestly.
I mean, he's 5'4", but sure, big is subjective.
Yeah, which is ironic. Isn't that how it always is? Goro's the henchman, and then freaking Drago's the match.
Right, and then Drago 2 hits you, and you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, because we all know Goro's weakness in that movie, and Drago's right. Yeah.
Just a little tapperoni. Drago is a ninja dragon. That's all you need to know about why he rules. Marcus,
Oh, and
who wait, yes. Do you have anything else?
he also legitimately spits fire, by the way. You didn't forget that.
Oh,
Gimmick
yeah.
either.
Legitimately Spitfire. Like, from the cockles of his soul. Marcus, who's your next one up?
I'm going with somebody who's just absolutely undeniable. Coming off of this brand, and he's continues to impress wherever he goes, but specifically now in Impact. This guy, like, he started off as the cousin to another black guy who faded away into nothing, or basically was killed on this show. What am I talking about? Nobody fades away off this show to get murdered.
They
But
meet
he got
Mr. What was they meet Mr. Mayhem.
yeah, Mr. Mayhem, aka Matanta, aka that guy that But that's what it sounded like when they were running too.
I dropped my coffee cup. Luckily, it was empty.
Yeah, man, I'm going with the black version of Mr. Oh hell yeah. I'm going with the Mac. Yeah.
Are we set on him being the black version of Stone Cold? Because I always thought he was the black version of Dusty. Then again, one could argue that Dusty was the white version of Dusty. It's just a moral conundrum at that point. But
That's actually a great piece. You got the Rattles attitude and the Dusty aesthetic in the heart.
right, he
Yeah.
definitely has the Dusty physique. Let's just hope he doesn't do any of the Dusty booking. All right, for my next pick, I'm going with the masked Mayhem himself. I'm going with Matanza Cueto, a.k.a. Jeff Cobb. I will say this, as great as Jeff Cobb is, and I think he's fantastic, I actually am not as high on his Lucha Underground stuff as I have been on his New Japan stuff. But, he got his big break in Lucha Underground, and that's kind of what we're doing is, we're talking about big breaks and, who made a name for themselves, which is, again, ironic because he didn't actually make a name for himself in Lucha Underground because his name is Jeff Cobb, not Matanza Cueto. And he's all of 5'8", and they always made him seem like, Kane or The Undertaker or Vader, like 7 feet tall. And like he was probably never taller than anyone that he actually quote unquote killed, besides maybe Rey Mysterio's nephew. But yeah, for me, Matanza Cueto is definitely a highlight of the first season or two. Former Lucha Underground champion, and his matches with Pentagon and Mil Muertes were the stuff of legends, and they were very much like little tiny kaiju battles. So I'm definitely here for that.
Specifically with that gimmick, he also benefited from being wide with that gimmick.
Oh yeah, he's 5'9" wide.
Yeah.
And 5'8" tall.
But yeah, still wouldn't want to walk in a dark room. The lights come on and he's standing there, because he's both intimidating with and without that mask. But also having that like almost Michael Myers jumpsuit he had on, that helped too.
It was always stained. Why was it always stained?
always just came under from somebody's hood, fixing their stuff, and was just pissed that he didn't get paid his proper due. But also because he kept he kept a mask on the whole time, which is 100% on him. But whatever. Yeah, for me, I guess the next person I'm going with the bird of 1,000 lives, man. If you watch Lucha Underground and you didn't fall in love with this dude, I don't know what you was watching. And the only reason why he's not number one is just the evolution of the guy that is number one for me. But yeah, I'm going with Phoenix, man. Ray Phoenix. This guy 100% solidified himself as somebody to watch, somebody to not be effed with, somebody that is as fun to watch as like vintage Rey Mysterio. If not, a lot of people probably viewed him as the second coming. And this guy's he's a virtual highlight reel in the making. Everything he does, the fluidity, the execution, the flawless execution, the middle finger to gravity, although that's waned several times now in AEW for whatever reason. But yeah, man, this guy was synonymous with the brand. I don't think you get as much enjoyment out of these 4 seasons as you did if he wasn't there. So I got to give it to Phoenix.
He came out of nowhere too. I remember not being impressed with him at first. His physique was really flabby. He didn't really have much of a notoriety, at least in my scope. So like when I saw him, I was like, all right, whatever. But then they put him in that feud with Mil Muertes, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Now, Mil Muertes won't be on this list because, as some of you may know, Mil Muertes is El Messias, a.k.a. Judas Messias, who's been in North America for quite some time. I think he was actually in Lucha Libre USA at one point, and he was definitely in Impact back in 07. So Muertes doesn't qualify for this, although he's definitely on the list of most impressive performers from Lucha Underground, if and when we ever actually do that one. That takes us to our next one, my last one, and that's the man that Gravity forgot, although I think that was Matt Seidel's tagline. But Gravity actually forgot this guy. I'm going with Helico. I was just thinking about him this morning and asking myself, why the hell is he not on AEW television? I can't remember the last time he was used, and that goes to even before the pandemic. Maybe he lives in Mexico. I didn't think he did, but maybe he does. Maybe it's really hard to travel, or maybe he doesn't want to travel. I don't know. But Helico made a name for himself in Lucha Underground simply off of maybe the greatest moment in wrestling history when Ivelisse was about to be jump jacked by Ricky Reyes and his two buddies, and then Helico, in like the most superhero move of all time, leapt off the top of the Dario Cueto office complex and onto all three guys. It's probably a good 18, 19, 20-foot drop to the floor. Granted, he wasn't going to the floor, he was going to the ring, so that's more like 14, 15 feet, maybe, give or take. Still a long way down, and it was one of the most breathtaking things I've ever seen. And just no one else in the history of wrestling could be ballsy enough to do that, in my opinion. We certainly haven't seen anything since, because it wasn't just a drop, it was a leap. He leapt into the ring. And it took incredible, patience and timing and athleticism to pull that off.
Till this day, man, still one of my favorite things I've seen in the last, I haven't been a year, 10 years watching a wrestling show. The only thing that met it was freaking reaction.
Oh, Ivelisse's reaction as she sat in the corner.
Oh no, not her. I'm talking about
Wait, old boy from the Undertaker match?
From the Undertaker match. Freaking.
He was so shocked that Brock beat him.
I'm talking about not Matt, the commentator. Why am I slipping on his name?
Oh, Stryker. Oh, Vampiro. Yes.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Oh, my God, you're right, because Vampiro ran up and down the aisle high-fiving people.
Vampiro's holy shit was the only thing that matched it, and it was even better because we was in the same boat he was.
Oh, my God. I know Vampiro's fallen on some hard times health-wise, and I know his reputation hasn't always been the most prestigious, but his stuff on Lucha Underground was fantastic, especially that match with Pentagon. Holy hell.
Yeah.
So let's slide on into your last pick, though.
Last pick, man. Last pick, best pick. I mean, you can't even mention Lucha Underground without mentioning this guy. He was the Nick Aldis. It felt like at times, and that was before he even got the championship. Eventually, and like I said, the reason why he go against Phoenix, ahead of Phoenix, ironically his brother, which I didn't even know. For most of me watching Lucha Underground until somebody pointed it out. Well, Pentagon Jr., man, you cannot. Drago was a great talent, but he was never positioned as like a guy that was unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And it always came off to me because I'm like, even when we first saw Pentagon, I'm like, this guy looks like he should be kicking people's ass up and down his ring. And I remember like those first for most of that first season, they just put Drago and Pentagon in matches, and it would be the same result. Pentagon would lose. He couldn't beat this guy to save his life. And then they did this thing because he just kept taking L's where a flip switched and he turned into the goddamn assassin he looked like. And he was off from the races from there. And he, between the swagger that he imbued the things he did in the ring, the theme song,
Oh god,
the
that theme song
Seattle
was great.
hand gestures. I mean, he literally took over that temple, man. Pentagon, he's literally the diamond that was, you know, um, branded from coal in that, and that was a beautiful thing to see because there was a lot of other people and a lot of other fascinating characters that came through there, but he just took over, and the way they weaved that story through, him basically becoming the thing that was almost as terrifying as a meal to a certain point because you knew when he showed up, whoever was down in that ring was going to be down even more because he was going to break their freaking arm. So yeah, man, Pentagon Junior, man, he was the shit. He was the absolute period.
Pentagon will leave your soul, but he's taking your arm. They had three monsters, and it went Mill. Well, actually, you could probably argue Matanza, Mill, and then Pentagon. And Pentagon usually lost whenever he went up against one of those two guys, but it was always one of those things where, up until he became Dark Pentagon, that's what he was called. Like he was always Pentagon Dark. He was always willing to go up against those guys, but he was always going to lose. But he was always kind of like maybe this is the time he beats them. But then he goes Pentagon Dark after he has the match of the year with Vampiro at the first Ultima Lucha. And then all of a sudden, he goes up against, I think it was Mil Mortis, and he breaks, he quote unquote breaks Mil's arm. And then I think he beats Matanza Cueto that year as well. Like, holy hell, they made him into a star. And to see, the thing is, like, he's got such a vibrant personality, unlike his brother, that whenever he's paired with Phoenix, I feel like he loses all luster. And like now he's walking around in suits and he's doing dumb, quippy things, and it's like everything cool about him is gone.
It's so funny you say that because during that whole time they really never clashed like that.
Yeah, they had nothing. They literally, I didn't know they were siblings until like season 2, and it was only because I heard about it. Because like they did nothing together, and it worked.
It worked, and but you would think what Phoenix always was until obviously that last stint where Phoenix went dark, which was some fascinating stuff too. But they would, character-wise, they were 100% opposed to each other. You would think they'd eventually clash, but it was almost like, because of everything that Phoenix had going on with Mill, and then obviously Katrina. It just kept him busy enough, and then Penta was either dealing with dark arts and his master, which was a whole journey in itself, and just randomly popping up and killing people. It's so weird that they never really clashed like that. Like that's one of the few things that we never saw. Like he clashed with, like you said, Mill. I think he even had something with Cage, but they never ran it. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but yeah, like you said, when you look back on what he was there and what he's become, I mean, even the arm break thing isn't legit anymore because nobody sells it, unfortunately, and now it's almost used as a regular move in a match, which sucks because if you bend somebody's arm back like that and legitimately break it, it's over. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a thing. It sucks. It sucks. This whole conversation just really makes me wish that damn show on Wednesdays, man. They had a specialty about them that we just don't get in these other companies.
Yep, they knew how to use them. That's for damn sure. So be sure to download our latest episode of the Wrestling Underground podcast. It's up on the website at realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCORP.com. There's probably a segment, a highlight on our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/Wrestling Underground. So be sure to follow along with us over there as well. Our Monday episode where we talked about the top 10 NWA talents is up. And our Friday episode is going to be our top 10 best used titles in wrestling over the course of the last 5 years. So be sure to keep an eye out for those if you're listening to this on Wednesday. So Mark can be found on his personal stuff at Paradox Kid on Twitter, PARADOXKID.
That'd be me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, at True Penny Show on Twitter, TruePennyShow. Links will probably not be down below. I just told you them. You don't need to see them. I don't need more work to do, people. You can find me on my personals at Chad NerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp. On Twitter, you can also find me on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, ChadSphotoHut. You can also find and keep up with our podcast at realnerdcorp.podbean.com or by downloading the Podbean app to your mobile device and searching for Real NerdCorp. You can also find us on iTunes and Spotify by searching for NerdCorp, NerdCorp. Look for the monkey brand. It's there. He's throwing up the rock fist. If you don't see the monkey, it ain't ours. Because, we like to... What was that? Remember the old 60s show, The Monkeys?
Yeah.
Hey, we're the monkeys, and people say we monkey around. That's very much my motto in life. I like to monkey around. Marcus likes to move it.
Man, you take it too seriously, you'll never get out alive.
Well, we're not getting out alive. So you might as well enjoy your time here while we're there. So with all that being said, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow, all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. And remember, as always, to watch more wrestling. By the by, we have a shirt that says that, so if you want to buy that, links for that will be down below. Marcus, your turn to take us home.
Good night, meat.
And 50-13. That'll work. As soon as there, nope. There it is. I can feel